Hi, everybody. This is JenXHealing, and welcome to Volume 2 of our book club. We are currently reading the code 00101110. For Volume 1, we made it through the introduction, and if you haven't already listened to Volume 1, I would highly encourage you to do so because that kind of puts the framework around the rest of the book. The rest of the book is broken up into into chapters that contain transcriptions of actual channeled messages. So the introduction is important. Go back, stop this replay and go back and listen to Volume 1 if you haven't, and if you can find the time. I am joined tonight by the lovely Lala. Thank you for coming, and she is going to help me digest the material as we read through it by asking any questions that occur or providing any insights that may occur as we read the material. So expect and encourage interruptions because it does help me process the material myself. So I get more out of it personally. I hope that whoever is watching will find it beneficial as well. So with that, let's pick up at the first chapter. It's code 00101110 channeling number 1. And I need to learn where the camera is. There you are. Okay. I'm going to read it exactly as written. Note that there's very little, if any, punctuation in this transcription. So when I pause, it's literally either for breath or for trying to group the words together, because I have no help with that in the form of punctuation. So bear with me. Here we go. Hello, welcome, my friend. This is a message from beyond the unseen realms and beyond the stars. We are honored to deliver this message to you. We are happy to remind you that you are playing an important part in becoming everything. We recognize you as an explorer and a creator of this reality. We respect and acknowledge your agency as an individual. We recognize the fact that you have the freedom of will. And with that freedom of free will, you have the power to choose what direction this reality is navigated. Together we all are going to warn you about the great power of consciousness on Earth right now. This information is a warning that consciousness on Earth right now has the most power, meaning that it has the most potential, yes, my friend, the most potential in recent history. The potential can be used for good or evil. The potential of consciousness on this level of existence can be used for dark or light. We are sending this message for you to ignite the power of human potential in this time. The fact that you are alive right now in this moment of humanity is a great opportunity and a great responsibility. Humanity needs to awaken and use the natural telepathic connection. That to me means not the internet, but ESP of the mind without the need of the internet as the go-between. Pipe in if you have a different perspective. Humanity will realize the power of each free individual. You have the power to create reality. Yes, by all definition, dream creation into existence and collaborate with the God mind. Every single brick of the pyramids were built one word at a time. And those words were spoken. Here we get another reference to the importance of speaking thoughts aloud. Every single brick of the pyramids were built one word at a time. I find that a bit interesting because one of the great mysteries is how were the pyramids built. I have yet to hear a theory that said that they were built one word at a time.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like I was thinking of it, I was trying to process what you're saying. So that is interesting because they haven't been able to.
It's almost like what did they say in Harry Potter when they want to Leviosa?
Right, I don't remember, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, it's almost like the pyramids were built one word at a time, i.e. Leviosa, and the stone moved into place. I don't know. Interesting.
Well, it goes back to the last reading where we were talking about spellings, right? Spells and spelling.
Yeah,
So speaking things into existence, speaking the pyramid into existence. Okay. Keep
absolutely.
going.
That connected some dots for me. Thank you. So the bricks were built one word at a time, and those words were spoken in the first language, the perfect language. The original freely spoken language built the pyramids. That same language, known as the first perfect original language, freedom of speech, built the pyramids. And the power of the spoken word and the work was done by the power of the telepathic development made possible by the advancement of technology. Use the power to choose and then birth forth that reality creation from the infinite cosmos. So it sounds like the ancient Egyptians were a hell of a lot more advanced, not only for quote unquote the time, but a hell of more advanced than we are currently. To me, energy is in circulation that has been summoned and will go full cycle, visiting all potential probabilities in the extended cycle of this future unfolding. Let me read that one more time because I'm not sure I processed it. Energy is in circulation that has been summoned and will go full cycle, visiting all potential probabilities in the extended cycle of this future unfolding. So it's almost like a reference to the end of a cycle, beginning of a new cycle again, I guess.
Well, I also kind of, I don't know if I heard this like or interpreting it right, but I also kind of think like like the multiverse, like multiple different realities at the same time.
Yes, absolutely. And what comes to my mind is I've heard, we as our human avatar think of time in it as a linear function, but we know now, thanks to quantum physics, that it's not. And I don't understand that. I understand what they're saying. I just don't understand the what's inside the black box, how it works. But one thing that I heard was that the sorry, I got off on a tangent and now I can't get back.
That's okay. I think I probably started that tangent because I was trying to, like, that sentence that you were reading, that is a difficult one to process. Like, what does that actually mean?
Oh, okay. Thank you. That I was trying to explain the image that it brought to my mind, that sentence, and I got stuck down the rabbit hole. But the image was, instead of linear, I've heard that think of time as a spiral. And the picture that comes to mind is like the threads on a screw, and that at the top of the screw, the thread is at its widest diameter. And at the bottom of the screw, the diameter is at some point reaches 0 or 1, or I'm not really a mathematician, but something very, very small. And the probabilities of timelines are contained within the diameter of the spiral. And we are, the probabilities are, the potential probabilities are shrinking as we narrow and collapse all the timelines down to 1 at the bottom of the screw. So that's what that sentence channeled for me is.
Can you read that sentence one more time with like the way that we are trying to interpret it now? Because maybe it makes more sense.
Yeah. Let me find it. Energy is in circulation. That's what made me think of the screw. Energy is in circulation that has been summoned and will go full cycle, visiting all potential probabilities in the extended cycle of this future unfolding.
Right, because we are on a trajectory, but it depends on what quote unquote timeline you are on, right?
Yeah, and what is resonating with me is the timeline that we, the collective, are on, based on the collective, the point of collective evolution.
Yes. So that, and it's a collective timeline, but also an individual timeline.
The individual can and will impact the collective direction.
Right.
I think that's why it's so important for us as volunteers to come to Earth to help in the ascension process. That's kind of explains our mission, I guess.
Yeah, and it kind of like going back to the reference, and I'm sure they're going to get to it in the later on, what we were talking about last time about like the movie The Matrix, right? Like, so you have to, your individual timeline is you choosing that path of ascension and not being stuck in the matrix, right?
Yeah.
But everybody, like not everybody, but they're right now, a lot of people are still stuck in the matrix. And so it is the mission of, people such as ourselves and others
Mhm.
who have chosen to come to help that.
Yes. And by coming together and focusing our energy uh, on the higher vibrational, increasing the vibration of our individual selves, once we reach critical mass, which is dependent on your belief called the 100th monkey effect or the Maharishi effect. Once a certain percentage of humanity reaches that spiritual point in evolution, it tips the scale in favor of it spreading automatically to the rest of the collective. And I think that's what the volunteers are here to do, is to gather,
Right.
um, to trigger that
Yeah,
90.
to trigger it, but also to like kind of lead the way too, as like beacons, because people need to learn how to use the tools, the spiritual tools, like, telepathy and other spiritual tools that can help in that process, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great observation. Okay. Um,
But again, it is a choice that we have to consciously choose to embody that,
yes.
to be that example.
Yeah.
And
I know.
a lot of times, I don't know, about you, but like myself, like I have to remind myself that it is a choice.
Absolutely. Um, for a good 30 years of my life, I was not an example to follow. Um, so yeah, that's a very important point. It is a conscious choice, and one that can only come from healing, and healing, some of the, if you've been exposed to trauma, getting that baggage out of the way so that you can be your authentic self.
Yeah, and to add to that just a little, like, and continue to choose that, because I'm not saying
Yeah.
like nobody's perfect, and I'm not saying by any means that I am, but I have to sometimes like when I'm in a kind of a funk or something, I have to remind myself that it is a choice to stay in the funk or to use the tools that I know
Mhm.
that help to get back on that track, and to choose that path and choose that higher timeline.
Mhm.
But then there are times where I do consciously choose not to. I'm choosing to numb out, or I'm choosing to be, like whatever, feeling kind of blah. But again, it's always a choice. And it is a kind of like skill to kind of hone in on that. You have to have that awareness in order to realize that, oh, I'm choosing this.
Yes, absolutely. And that really, it hits home for me, what you said um about that. So I appreciate the thought. It resonates. Hold on just a moment. Okay, thank you. Sorry. So sorry. Apparently I haven't 100% recovered from the kennel cough, that my husband thinks I got from my dogs. So anyway, who knows? But we'll hop back into the text. Um, let me get back into channeling mode. By listening to this message, you will have the opportunity to find answers. So it'll be interesting. We'll have to go back and hit the replay to see if any of the discussion we just had is explained or explained away later. This pattern of words is a code in the fashions of key 0010110. And by that structure, this pattern of words will ignite a reminder for some listeners and remind you of things that you never knew, along with a mission. Yes, my friend, a lifelong mission that will change everything, even as it stays the same. It kind of blows my mind a little bit. However, we are aware this reminder can be both frightening and exciting. We must warn you that by knowing what we are going to tell you in this message, entities that exist outside the conventional senses of comprehension will be taking great interest in you. Here's the heads up part that we need to actively acknowledge that we are okay with before proceeding. Are are you okay for this right now to keep going, or are you feeling nervous already?
No, absolutely. I keep going, but it reminds me what you just said. It reminds me of it's kind of difficult to explain, but I took this course called The Light Body, or
Uh-huh,
awakening your light body.
uh-huh,
And it was it teaches you different techniques to connect in the higher realms. And it was channeled, like this course was channeled by two people who had, they channeled their guides.
uh-huh.
And in doing that course, you have to kind of make that agreement, or well, not even make the agreement. Like when you're reading through the material, they say like that the beings are aware of you now. They are aware that you have chosen to accept this knowledge or accept this transmission, right? Their names were Oren and Deben. So since I did that course, I'm automatically in the spiritual realms
Mhm,
connected with Oren and Deben. So in
mhm.
this way, I'm wondering like if it's the same kind of disclaimer kind of thing.
Yeah, it's one of many, not different one. They all pretty much say the same thing, but it really wants to ensure that you're aware of that it's not without risk. So,
The only thing like I wonder if they'll go into is like these beings, or whatever they're saying is going to be taking interest. Are they all positive beings or entities? Right.
oh, I'll keep reading. And
Okay.
but if at any point I read something that makes you feel uncomfortable, just interrupt me and say I don't want to go any further.
No,
That's
I mean,
totally
I'm
fine.
here for it.
Okay.
It's very
Uh,
interesting, but I just wonder, if they're going to open up those channels, if they're going to talk about how to protect against that kind of
protect
thing.
yourself. Yeah, that's. I haven't got that far to be able to answer that. That is a very good question.
So yeah, I mean, maybe we should shield or something before.
Yeah, where's my sage? Yeah. Um, The entities that exist outside conventional sense of comprehension belong to a vast multiplicity of variety, some existing in a multiplicity of factions, others on the opposite expressions of dark and light, neither exclusively good nor bad, but just as evil and just as loving as any expressions of the totality of all creation. I'm hearing that duality thing again. Some entities that exist outside the conventional senses of comprehension are working to bring this earth and its consciousness down into hell, while other entities that exist outside the conventional senses of comprehension seek to witness the day when this earth and her consciousness rise to heaven. When you dance with the devil does not change, my friend. It is you who changes. Some humans on earth are lost. You might say that some humans have been drained and are now empty. I think I was one of them. It's taken me 2 years to get to this point to recover, where I feel I'm still staying in bed a lot, but it's taken me 2 years to get to the point to where I think I can recover. So I identify very much with that statement that you might say that some humans have been drained and are now empty. It continues.
I'm sorry, one thing. So that just brought to mind like the narcissist and the empath dynamic, right? Like how the narcissist will and sociopaths will suck the energy right out of you. So in my mind, I'm like visualizing this, well, what comes to my mind is the archons who are, trying to bring the earth down and trying to suck the energy and literally feeding off of our fear and our loose energy.
Exactly, the TikTok video of the shadow person with the protesters.
Yeah, or like the Travis, what is it, Travis Scott, where it looked like there was a demon jumping through the crowd during that. But yeah, there are, those entities that will try to feed off of that energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I'm sorry. So my point was, you're saying you felt drained, and they were talking about the collective, some people being drained, the narcissist that drains that all of your emotions. Like I was, just real quick, I was in a narcissistic relationship, and I felt like I lost my soul towards the end of that relationship. I didn't know who I was anymore, because literally it had sucked everything out, who I thought, like all my emotions, everything, because I don't know, it just, so sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry, Stella doesn't like, she heard some noise.
Energy vampire, where? Let me get
Right, okay, but continue. That just was what reminded me of that, is that feeling of emptiness.
Absolutely. I think that's a strong drainer. Some humans on earth are broken down to the point that they exist on such a low frequency that it is if nobody inhabits the body at all. What were you just saying? You feel like you lost your soul, or you feel like you were drained?
I literally felt like I was a shell.
Yeah.
I was just walking around in a husk, like just was not there. I mean, I was still trying to be, I was still trying to do my affirmations and trying to bring myself out of that. And I did
Mhm.
eventually, but it took some work, a lot of
Yeah.
work and healing, and removing me from that environment, because it was very toxic. And he literally did like feed off of it like a vampire, like,
Oh,
wanted to arouse my emotions all the time. Anyway, I don't want to get into all of that, but that is what comes to mind when you're
yeah.
talking about the kind of energy.
Well, I guess that's why it's so important that we awaken and take that time to heal, because that's the only way that we're going to be able to help others is if our own cup is full.
Right. And the entities in the dimensions, like the fourth dimension, like the archons and others who feed off of that energy. That's why you see have so much of, like, I call it fear porn, like they always try to keep us addicted to that fear of like watching the news and hearing about all these tragedies and different things. And that's how they keep that control of that energy, because they feed off of it,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And I guess this is confirmation right here. I mean, depending on how credible you think the source is, but to me, I don't think any one source is the come all be all. To me, it's finding the same information from multiple sources that convinces me more. And this is, to me, just one more confirmation that what that we're on the right track. Um, so you see, some entities that exist outside the conventional senses of comprehension seek to possess humans who are a shell of a human being. Isn't that interesting? Some entities that exist outside the conventional senses of comprehension are dark beings that lurk in the unseen and use forces like karma and vulnerabilities to cling on to, and it's sometimes inhabit and control some human shells that are fallen victim to a lower sense of gravity in the soul, as measurable in the quantum realm as all individuals exist in a vast multiplicity of parallel reality, upon parallel reality as seen on the ladder of different frequency, my friend. The entities that exist outside the conventional senses of comprehension will be taking a greater interest in you now that you are made aware of this information download. Do not be afraid. You are more powerful than the darkness. You are more powerful than many lower level entities that exist outside the conventional senses of comprehension. However, we warn you that karma is real, and those dark entities that exist outside the conventional senses of comprehension always seek to circumvent the power that is within the human soul and the soul of all conscious beings. You have the power. The code is 00101110, my friend. Love and light. Use the code and connect with the quantum telepathic network, my friend. Be that same ancient application used by humans who existed here on Earth 1 billion years in Earth's history. What are we supposedly only been here for 200,000 years? And discovered the connection to the telepathic grid, the matrix composition, the code 00101110, the power to create creation itself. Yes, in all essence, speak creation into existence. Use that power, yes, my friend, simply by existing. You are in an enviable position, and you can be a player in this absolute totality of creation. Are you interested in knowing if you are being followed? Some of us are being watched and followed by entities that exist outside this realm of comprehension. You might be interesting to the entities that are seeking to lower the vibrational frequency of the human consciousness. It is true that entities exist that have an ambition to lower the frequency of consciousness on this realm of creation. We are sending this message to you to remind you that you are an essential component to the totality of the infinite God mind of all creation. We humbly ask that you turn your awareness to the possibility that you are being watched and you are being followed by entities that are unseen to common human perception. Some humans have activated the ability to see the entities that are following them and then name those entities and break beyond the limitations that these entities seek to impose in the physical world and the spiritual world. Is that what you meant, Lala, when you mentioned those two names as an example? Is that the name of the negative entity that you broke the bonds of?
Sorry, what are you saying? The two names, what do you mean?
You said two names early in the conversation we just left, that as an example of um oh my goodness, I
Like the
can't.
narcissist and the archons?
Maybe, yeah, it was in that conversation.
I don't
Oh,
know.
I can't explain it. I didn't. I wasn't those. I've never heard those names before, so I hadn't connected that dot yet. So I can't
Yeah,
absolutely
well,
describe it.
yeah, so like to what they're saying right there, like I don't know, how familiar you are with like the dimensions, but there are different levels of consciousness. Really, that's what dimensions are, is levels of consciousness.
Mhm,
And as you go up in levels, the more love, the more
mhm,
loving the beings and entities are, right? Because they're
yeah,
closer to source, God energy, that is pure love. So there are the negative entities, such as, if you believe such things to be true, as reptilians and
mhm,
the archons is what they're called. And
mhm,
um, research that with caution, because they are like they want to suck that energy. They want you to be afraid of them. They want to lurk in corners and scare you. And so you have to realize, like the channeling is saying, that
mhm,
you are more powerful than they are,
mhm,
and that they're not, you set the intention, they're not going to scare you,
mhm,
because you know that you are of God and they are not, because they are choosing that lower frequency. So I think of heaven in a different kind of way than some people might. I think of heaven as, and hell as states of being and states of consciousness too. So if somebody's in hell, it's because they're choosing a lifestyle of choices that are negative and holding them back from the God source love energy, which is heaven, right? If you're in bliss and joy and love, most people would describe that as heaven.
Yes, absolutely. The highest vibrational that you can get. That helps put that into perspective. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how I see it. But you know, I say with caution about the negative entities, because it is true, they can affect your energy if you allow them. And what's happening now on the collective is that most people are not even aware that it's happening.
Yeah.
But the people who are waking up are learning, right, that it is happening. These forces are being controlled and manipulated to create fear and control, to keep you stuck in the matrix.
And probably as their source of energy.
Right. Yes, we are their
Battery.
Their food. You're their, you know, like a vampire needs blood to live or whatever. It's the same way with our energy. So we have to keep our energy and our consciousness high, so that, you know, as high as we can. Obviously we can't be like high vibe all the time, but you know, as we practice and practice more and more, the baseline of your consciousness raises the bar. And already, just by us having this conversation, we are already higher in consciousness than those entities that are trying to create that fear.
That's very reassuring. I appreciate you saying that. That's almost like in geometry, when you have to prove a theorem, you just provided like the proof of that theory for me. So thank you. And it's a good segue, because look what the channeling says next. Always remember that you have the ability to rise to the highest possible level of vibrational frequency, my friend. The potential is within you, my friend. You are the creator of this reality. And those dark entities that might be following you are ambitious in their efforts to subvert that creative energy that lives within you, my friend. Be aware of the power of your energy. Be aware of the power of your energy, my friend. At all costs, stand guard at the front of your consciousness. Do not allow the dark entities that manifest in the eyes of the fallen beings that you might be surrounded by. That means a lot to me, because I really struggle with being a blue dot in a red state. And I know that's a political reference and not appropriate for this forum, but it's just one of those low vibrational things that I'm still struggling to get out of. And that, to me, sums up that struggle right there, that sentence. You know, do not allow the dark entities that manifest in the eyes of the fallen beings that you might be surrounded by. Maybe my purpose is to not let my frequency be brought down by those in my environment, to be strong and maintain a higher vibrational frequency that is resistant to that pull.
Yes, and to add to that, you were speaking about like the political aspect. There's a lot of that going on right now. It is not about politics at the end of the day. It's not about red or blue or Republican, Democrat, or whatever. It's about us ascending to community, the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the propaganda on both sides that is being manipulated right now.
Yeah.
And so what you're saying is, part of the mission and part of our challenge, excuse me, is to not let those news, not let the people and the news, the propaganda, the commercials, the different every crisis of the week, not letting that affect our energy, not seeing above it, like seeing it for what it is. Like I laugh at the news. I actually don't even watch the news, but when I
I
see
do.
like clips or something like
I
of
know
something that is going on, I kind of laugh at it because I know that it's just propaganda right now. It's not it's close to midterm elections, number one, and it's that fear porn that they want to keep you in that. I saw it today. Actually, there's a term called doom scrolling, and I hadn't thought of it before, but I just saw it today. I think I saw it on like Instagram or some video. Anyway, they were talking about doom scrolling and how, like, when you're scrolling through your phone, you are subconsciously programming your mind to look for the negative news events, look for the negative things in your social media, right? And so we have to actually like reverse that and like consciously choose what we program into our minds by the media that we consume and the people that we surround ourselves with.
Yes.
And if
And
we can't avoid it, then just acknowledge it for we know what it is. And we know it doesn't really matter at the end of the day because that's not the timeline that we're on.
yeah, yeah,
We're choosing not to entertain with those lower beings and entities.
yeah. And I guess I'm hoping that we can, what the purpose of the community that I'm trying to build is to give people a place to softly awaken those lost, the people that in this text are referred to as lost humans, human beings. Um, maybe, maybe if they were awake, they would heal and no longer be at those lower vibrations and would help us ascend the more and more we could wake them and increase their vibration. Um, so what I'm trying to do is pull myself out of that red, blue, blah, 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 blah. We're all light beings. It's just we're all on different soul evolutionary paths. And if we can unite on what we have in common versus divide on our differences, then I don't know. That's kind of
Yeah.
yeah,
And to acknowledge that there are these entities who are trying to control the
yeah.
masses. People don't understand that they literally people are being brainwashed
Hmm.
and like like we can get into other things, but MK Ultra is real, and they are still doing that to this day. CIA runs operations that they are still doing to this day, and it's all about controlling people to do what they want them to do
Hmm. Yeah,
by instilling
yeah.
fear and consequences and control.
Hmm. I heard it put well in a TikTok the other day. A guy said, if you have a jar and you put in 100 red ants and 100 black ants, they'll just be fine and they'll coexist. But if you shake the jar, all of a sudden they're enemies and they will fight to the death until all are dead. Um, so he said the question is not what is the color of your skin or your cohabiter. It's who's shaking the jar. So
Exactly. Exactly. So that's why I like this channeling, because
Mm-hmm.
you realize like who is shaking, who is in
Yeah.
control. We
Yeah.
are ultimately, but when you realize what's happening, when you step out of that matrix and you can see it for what it is, that's when you, like, I like to say, like, once you've been red pilled, you can't like go back. You can't unknow the things that you know, right?
Right. Right.
You
Absolutely.
can
Once you
lower your
open Pandora's
consciousness
box,
if
you
you
can't
allow
close
it.
it. Right.
Yeah, yeah, like, and there are things that, they're trying to do to lower our consciousness without even our awareness, like,
Mm-hmm.
um, sound wave frequencies that are on a low vibration by manipulating music, by the hertz that they broadcast. And some
Oh.
may say with 5G, maybe the 5G energy that's being put out is lowering the vibration in those cities where they're concentrated with those towers. You know,
Oh.
I don't know these things to be absolute truth, but it makes sense to me that it could happen.
Yeah. I mean, I never say never at this point is what I've learned. So always keep an open mind. It's the people that are set in their ways and refuse to consider any other perspective, I think, that are the ones that are going to be hard to crack open. Let me do a quick time check because I did call it the metaphysical hour. We've done pretty good. We've gone through two, 3.5 pages, and we've got 1, 2, 3, 4.5 left. So, how are you feeling, Lala? Do you feel like this is a good stopping place for you, or would you like to continue and see how far we can get in, say, like the next 15, 20 minutes?
That's up to you. I am here for it, whatever you're comfortable with. I'm not on
Mhm.
a time schedule at all. I enjoy this type of conversation and thinking about these types of things. And like you said,
Mhm.
kind of the confirmation that comes to mind when those dots connect, and when I hear, a book that was written 22 years ago, 23, whatever, saying the same things that I'm thinking now.
Yeah, yeah. Just another reassurance
Hmm.
that that you're thinking on the right track. Okay, well, let me go to um let me go for a few more minutes, and then I'll see if I can if a natural stopping point presents itself.
Yeah, and I'll shut up and let you just go.
No, 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 don't, because that's the point. Um, the We need to remind you that some of the people who are around you in day-to-day life might be working under the influence of the hidden entities that are always spying and always watching and seeking to subvert the potential of conscious creators in this level of creation in the quantum sense of the definition. Be aware that the conflict that exists in this world is an ancient energy struggle between the dark and the light. The ancient energy struggle between the dark and the light is as ancient a story as is the creation myths of this level of expression on the timeline free from time, reflected in the quantum multiple universe dynamic. The hidden entities and the dark entities, the entities of the light and the entities of the shadow, the entities that seek to do harm and the entities that seek to do God's work, the entities that seek to bring down the vibrational gravity of the ultimate God's brain, and the entities that seek to excuse me, and the entities that seek to realize the totality of the God brain collaboration right now in all infinite expressions of the same right now, in all context of comprehension and energy. This is the ultimate truth of this story that is unfolding now on earth as it is in heaven. My friend, we invite you to explore this idea in dreams and see the visiting energy of the infinite soul connection in all expressions. And in doing so, my friend, be the blessing of the God's mind exploration in the unit frame quantum index. Be aware of the dark entities. Be aware of the light entities. In some circumstances, you will encounter those who seek to follow and watch and see the lives of the 130 million humans on Earth right now who have recently activated special abilities to help them see the hidden entities. And these humans with these special abilities will be essential in the awakening, as every day new humans are learning the application of 0010110. In the consciousness network, the totality of that same discovery, the application of the symbol 0010110, my friend, in this infinite connection expression here on earth. That was a lot of words. I'm not sure I absorbed all of them, but I think I'm okay. Be aware that the hidden entities might be watching you download this information, my friend. And they will have a greater interest in you now that you have downloaded this information and contributed it to the telepathic grid framework of all minds on earth, learning all information and reading every book and knowing every language in connection with coming to the total awareness contribution to the absolute framework. Yes, the ultimate new internet, the telepathic internet, the bank of all ideas and all comprehension of all information ever known and ever created in any reality, connecting all reality and signifying all absolute creation.
So you just mentioned something that just triggered something like for me, where it was talking about how like they'll have a greater interest in you
Yeah.
and watching you like as you become aware of this knowledge.
Yeah.
It makes me think of, have you seen the movie Inception?
No, but I've heard about it.
Okay, well, I don't want to give spoiler alerts then if you haven't seen it. It's a really good movie. But there is a part, let me see if I can tell you. Okay, so there's a part where they are within a dream, okay? And the other people that are walking by, like, they're aware of them as different, right?
Uh-huh.
So they kind of just stare at them.
Uh-huh.
Like there's two people, I think Leonardo DiCaprio and whoever is the trainee. And so they just, it's weird, kind of creepy, like they just eerily, like as they're walking by, they're going up an escalator or something, like they're all just turning their heads, like staring at them. Like I just visualize that as being like these entities in their realm of dimension or whatever, looking at us in that kind of way. So watch that movie though, because that's a good one.
I think I will. Now that you mention it, I think we talked about Rick and Morty once. I think Rick and Morty did an episode that was similar to Inception. I think he even mentioned, yeah, I know we're going to get letters about we're not ripping off Inception. No, I think he even made reference to the movie in the episode. So I think I understand a little bit about what you were saying, or
Well, and another analogy too, to kind of like that Inception analogy, is like the Matrix. Again, like going back to that, but Agent Smith, right? Like he just kind of pops up whenever,
mhm.
and he is that negative entity.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. That resonates. Well, I think let me get okay, let me get a couple of more paragraphs and I think I see a decent place to pick up next time. Um Humans on earth right now are living in biblical times. Everything that happens on earth right now will cause a ripple effect that will form the future of humanity moving forward the next trillion years. Every decision you make is critical, my friend. Be aware of the power you have and be aware that advanced humans all around the world are working all the time to do the work that is needed to advance to the next level. Then levels 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have all come this far and we have all been summoned to receive the information on each respected frequency. And as such a decision will need to be made, a sequence of events will, as such, follow and be the birth of the continuation of that same cycle. And a decision to either break from the old cycle of unprecedented repetition or choose, as it will be chosen, the history that will repeat itself and the events of the past manifestation of the poem and the rhyme of that playback in perpetual connection. Darkness and light will meet and all of the actors will be revealed. I think
Wow. The actors will be revealed. I like that.
yeah, that's a good cliffhanger place to pick up next time. We've just got 2.5 pages left of channeling number one. So I think next time we should definitely make it through the end of channeling number one. And I believe channeling number two is a lot shorter.
Okay. I mean, yeah, it's totally up to you. I
Oh,
want to be respectful of your time, but I mean, I could finish it if you wanted to, but it's up to you. We could do it next time. You could stop there.
um,
If you think it's just going to be a couple more minutes to
uh,
finish it.
if you're okay to go, I think we could probably finish it in about 10 minutes, maybe.
It's up to you. I've been on 5 hour long podcasts before. It's this is nothing to me. Like I'm into it.
Okay, all right. Well, I might have to rename it the metaphysical hours with JenXHealing. Put an
Yeah,
S
or
on the end,
just, yeah, I
put an
mean,
S on the end of that hour.
uh,
Uh,
that's just a time doesn't exist.
you're right. You're right. I'm learning that. Um, the infinite cycle of the totality of all connection come to a final stand as this generational struggle of freedom and slavery balances itself in the totality of consciousness. And that decision is with us. That decision is humanity's to make right now. The infinite possibilities, the infinite realities, and so be that energy first and live in confidence of that energy and follow the things that make you feel connected to it, because it will guide you when you are with it. And pay no mind to those things that tempt you otherwise. Simply go to the place where the energy is most pure and most repressive of your pure passion. And this will oftentimes come as a desire to create. And we invite you to create all that you feel desire to create and fill your reality with beautiful things and observe beautiful ideas, as it is always possible to look at the sky and enjoy the air and feel the oxygen and purify the soul and body and seek the things that make you feel connected, to live long, to live love, and that love is always available to you. You need only follow your passion to find that love. Yes, my friend, telepathic ability made possible by the freedom of speech, the power of creation at that highest level of expression, built on the foundation, algorithmic exploration of the computing power of this dimensional magic science or spoken words. Some humans think that the extraterrestrials are going to visit Earth. However, the extraterrestrials are already here, and many humans have been aware of this fact. Some humans have achieved telepathic communication with extraterrestrials. We understand that many humans are asleep right now, and those sleeping humans are ignorant to the surrounding reality and the events happening right now in an energetic context. By definition, in the unseen realms of energy events happening right now, have fates intertwined with the future of Earth and the evolution of human consciousness and Earth consciousness. I just had to pause and comment that they are referred to here as two different things: human consciousness and that of the consciousness of Earth. We have accepted the responsibility that we must make those humans who have special potential aware of the fact that telepathic communication is possible between extraterrestrials and humans. Yes, humans having telepathic communication with other awakened humans. and all having the ability to communicate telepathically with the consciousness of Earth, and the ultimate telepathic grid of ultimate awareness. So it's like we got to develop this ability to hook into the telepathic network that connects us as light workers together with extraterrestrial soul family and Gaia, Mother Earth.
Yeah, it's interesting. It reminds me of, there's a video on my, sorry, don't mind my dog just knocking over something, being obnoxious. But it reminds me, I posted a video of my page, and it's a really cute video of these two little girls talking about Earth, and they were talking telepathically, like, so they're just sitting there looking at each other, but it's as if you can hear their thoughts, like they're talking to each other. And the
Uh-huh.
one girl was telling the other girl about her experience on Earth, and the other girl was like, whoa, you've been to Earth, and like, what happened to Earth? And so it was, I'll have to, if you haven't seen it, I'll have to
Uh-uh.
send it to you, because I have it on my Instagram page, but I have to do a deep dive because I posted it a long time ago. But it
Oh,
reminds me of that, because we all do have that telepathic ability already, but a lot of people don't know how to hone it. And I'm not saying
yeah.
I do completely, but I have had telepathic communications with other humans and extraterrestrials. So um but not all the time. Like, I can't do it on the spot all the time, or but like, I recognize, oh, I like to see, like, say I see the light in others, like I see the light in the people, because they literally do kind of like stand out to me different from other people, like I can see the divinity in them.
Oh, that's awesome. I'm I I'm not at that point yet. I can't see anything with my physical eye. I've seen some images and stuff with my third eye, I think. Um, but I work on it. I hope to evolve more in that direction. Um,
Yeah, and me too. Like, I would like to, I think it's a journey to
yeah,
continually to like sharpen your skills, right? And to learn new things. If you stop learning, you stop growing.
yeah, yeah. Um, I believe that wholeheartedly. Well, we're coming close to the end. Um, we have accepted no, I just got through reading that paragraph. Okay, let me start at this one. We have this communication in all potential. This communication is a pattern of words and a reminder that the next evolution in this cycle of creation, evolution in a clear definition. Think of the activation code 0010110, my friend. Meditate on that activation code, my friend. The symbol, the code, the key to open the door to the ultimate consciousness grid of communication. We are all here waiting for you, my friend. And we thank all of those who gift the key to others, who then join our collective memory of all connection, friend. This is the ultimate connection. The total mind smiles on this connection 0010110, the billion-year code used by ancient humans, the information download to build the pyramids, the information download of the new internet, the telepathic quantum connection. In a parallel universe, the same victory lap is happening in the 4-dimensional connection in the context of the ultimate contribution, my friend. We are the collective. We fly the flag 0010110 code of this new age of the Enlightenment. The time is now, and the download of information. Things have changed. The tide has turned. Humanity has evolved. A new stage in Earth's expansion is here and now. The expansion is total. That same totality of absolute connection made possible for a long time, yes, a long time, measured in the variables of trillions of years. A trillion-year soul contract called Code 00101110 of the modern Enlightenment. Stand up for yourself in this world. Tell the truth. Do what you think is right. The new language 00101110 is a classic awakening of monumental proportions. We speak this connection into creation. We send this message into the universe, and we smile on the energy of this awakening. The time is now, my friend. The connection is pure. And the ultimate result of this connection is and will always be pure and gifted on all levels of context and definition. Redemption of the highest order is the ultimate victory of this ancient connection of physical reality and cosmic creation. The time is now, and the connection is available to all who wish to play a significant role. Last sentence. We are honored to have this communication with you, and we are honored to be here and participate in this communication of Universal Code 00101110. And that is the end of channeling number 1.
Wow. You know, the way that they end that channeling reminds me of Abraham Hicks. Do you know who that
Really?
is?
I have not, I've not done a lot of reading and research myself, but I've heard a lot of reference to the
Oh
material.
my gosh. Yeah, you would love it. And I haven't heard any of the newer stuff recently. I've just not been tuned into that for whatever reason, but maybe this is my calling to get tuned back
Yeah.
into that. But I used to do Abraham Hicks meditations every morning, and that was one of my highest vibes periods of my time in my life. But anyway,
Wow.
they always
A
they
coincidence.
always end it like in a certain way, like we are pleased to, how do they say it?
We are honored to have this communication with you. We are honored to be here and participate in this communication.
Yeah, they say something very similar because Abraham is like a collective consciousness of, higher consciousness that Esther Hicks channels.
Okay.
So just that's the way they said that, it reminded me of that. So,
Awesome.
but I think this was really a good one though, because it did kind of tie in a lot of what we were talking about before they said that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I tried to raise one eyebrow a couple of times because I knew it made reference to something you had just said.
Yeah, so I like this a lot.
So, well, cool. Well, channeling number 2 is only 4 pages.
Okay.
So depending on the discussion that takes place while we're channeling it, we'll probably definitely get through channeling number 2, and maybe even start a little bit of channeling number 3 next time. Who knows?
Yeah. So I like that you stuck it out and went the distance, because I really do think that like finishing it for me it was helpful, because not only does it feel complete, but it also, like, that last part of it was a lot of like a lighter explanation of things that we can, practical things we can do to fight off of these negative entities that are trying to, so that was like the upliftment that I was seeking to, like,
Yes.
make it feel complete. So I really like that, and that was a good reminder to me of what I might, what am I choosing to feed into my environment, and what activities bring me passion and joy that I could be focusing on instead, and using that creative energy instead of the negative energy.
Yes, absolutely. Reframe that perspective. I'm working on that, and um, the creativity is definitely helps me with that, because I feel it in my heart.
Yeah.
It's something I do from my heart instead of my head.
Yeah. And like, just real quick, like, when I was that period of time whenever I was feeling like a shell, I
Mhm.
had no creativity, I had no motivation, I had nothing, and so that is the kind of spark of life, is like, what brings you joy, what brings you passion, so that you can bring yourself out of that, like, nothingness, basically, and create the life that you actually want to live by doing the things that bring you joy and happiness and passion,
Absolutely.
creativity. But when you're in that low state, it's hard to access that. And so Abraham Hicks also talks about the emotional guidance scale, and you can't just jump from depression to joy. It's
Mm.
a gradual, you have to move up the emotional guidance scale gradually. So you go from, like, depression and despair to anger, to frustration, to boredom, to contentment, to um creativity, to passion, to joy, to love at the begin, at the very top. But you can't just go straight from one to the other. You have to do things that change your vibrational state and your emotional vibration, when that's what they're referring to. And doing those things that bring you joy and passion, that is what makes those shifts, just even if it's a tiny shift. So, like, if you're in a state of really deep depression, maybe the tiniest shift to shift you out of that into moving up the scale would be to eat something you enjoy, or watch a movie, or talk to a friend, or whatever, go for a walk. And then that leads to a rise in a different, into a different shift,
Mm-hmm.
because you've started that momentum.
I so appreciate you bringing that up, because the fact that you have that it is a process, and it is an evolution, and you can't go from A to Z. You got to go through all the letters in between. Um, that answers, it connects a few dots for me. Um, and I've been frustrated that I've been at this for so long, and at times I'm not where I want to be or think I need to be, and then I remember, oh, but that's trying to control my future, and I shouldn't. I should just be going with the flow, and I should know that by now, and
Right.
it
You start shitting on yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
my inner critic. I allow my inner critic to come out, and
Right,
so
which lowers your vibration.
yes, 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 and it also answered another question that just recently occurred to me. I have lost all motivation to do anything. And I think I think I may have already shared this with you in another forum,
Mm-hmm.
but it resonated because of this observation, so I'll repeat it. The I've had zero. I've been a type A personality my whole life up until, I retired at 30 years. Just go, 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 get her done, slave driver, make my team work overtime. I was the one that made you work weekends. I was that person. And so anyway, just to set the frame of reference for how different I am today, because today it, I haven't even done my taxes for 2021 yet. I've been filing extensions. I mean, that is
Girl,
literally
me neither.
that
I
is
did the
literally
same. I
how
filed an extension too.
unmotivated I
But
am.
like Jen, I want to just say something real quick, and I don't mean to interrupt, but
Oh my
I
goodness.
don't think that that is all you. Like, I think collectively, a lot of us have been feeling that same way this
Mm,
past year, especially, and really since 2020.
mm.
That was a big like shift in
Really?
2020. And so I think that a lot of, especially us empaths and star seeds or whatever you resonate with, light worker, we feel it on a deeper level than most, because we are so consciously aware of our feelings and our emotional intelligence.
Mhm,
So I say that to say, like, don't be so hard on yourself, because um you're ahead of the game just by like your level of awareness now, and your consciousness development now. You're already helping other people, and you're already waking up, and you're already on your own journey. And it doesn't always go in a linear fashion where we do things the way that it quote should be, right? There is no should. And
mhm,
it just is, or it isn't, or it is what we make it to be. And if you think of time in that way, you're not wasting any time. Like, yes,
mhm.
this conversation may have gone over a little bit longer than you intended to, but I think in the grand scheme of, if you look back on it, it was worth it. In the, because time doesn't exist. And yes, you may be a little bit tired or whatever, but at the same time, you're getting something from it. It's an energy exchange, and it's uplifting you. It is changing your vibration. It is shifting you. So don't be so hard on yourself for not being where you think you should be, because I mean, I say that, and I'm saying that to myself too, because I have done that myself, and I, still sometimes do. Like, I think, I should be doing other professions, and focusing more on, my coaching and things like that, but I am not at the moment, and that's a choice that I'm making. But it's okay. It's not, because you're not where you think you should be, doesn't mean that you're not on your path.
Good. That I like that. That's a good way to put it. I um I I have the realization that my lack of motivation is because it was just a symptom of healing. That all of my I derived all of my motivation my entire life. It was fear based and low vibrational motives. And once I started realizing that and doing the unprogramming to reprogram that out of my brain, um, that's seemingly to me when I lost my motivation, but it would make sense because if all my motivation was fear based and I'm healing from that and actively working to no longer be controlled by fear, then it would be a natural. reaction, a natural effect to that cause for me to lose my motivation. But what I appreciate you bringing up that spectrum for is, it's like m- I expected, okay, if I've lost my motivation, my fear-based motivation, why do I have zero motivation? Why don't I have love-based motivation instead? Right now I have zero motivation. I can't do anything, but I should be able to I should still be motivated by something other than fear. And what I want to be motivated by is love. And I've been frustrated that I'm just not feeling that yet. I'm still doing nothing. But you just told me that it was okay to do that because it's all love is on the end of the spectrum. That's like, you're approaching the end of your journey. So maybe I'm being too hard on myself, thinking that I need to, instantly, once I cut off the fear motivation, to instantly be filled with motivation, love based motivation. It's something to work toward.
Yes. And, right, what comes to me, and this is just a little bit of coaching coming out, but it comes to me that you're just in stagnant energy. And once you make the tiniest shift, I mean, the tiniest thing that you can think of, like everything might seem like a struggle right now, but what is one thing you can do in that direction that feels downstream, right? So think about a boat. When you're
Hmm.
trying to row a boat upstream, it's hard, right? And you get like tired and you don't feel like, you know, whatever. But if
Yeah.
you just drop, this is another Abraham Hicks, but if you just drop the oars and let yourself float down the stream, you'll get to the destination a lot faster and easier than if you were to put so much force into fighting it upstream, right? Your
Hmm.
thoughts of what I should be doing and all this is that's fighting upstream. And so what is one thing to start moving that stagnant energy in the direction of going up that scale? It might
Hmm.
not be a huge
Sure.
thing, but that one little thing leads to another little thing tomorrow or the next day, or
Yes.
and that's all it takes. Even just your shift of thinking about it right now is a step in the direction, because now you're focusing on what you can do instead of the things that you're not doing.
Absolutely. That's perfectly said. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I'm again, talking to myself too, because I've been there recently myself and sometimes still do. Um, so, it's a, like, again, it's um, not a destination. It's conscious choices that we're making
Hmm.
daily and embodying how we really want to live.
Hmm.
Like, people say, what's the purpose of life? Well, the purpose of life is however you choose to live your life, right? It's
Hmm.
that simple.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we make it complicated, thinking there's all these things that we should be doing. But really, all it is what brings you closer to joy and love.
Exactly. I have had to redefine my definition of success. And, when I reach the end of this lifetime, what will I eh, feel the most successful having done? I've totally changed that definition from how I was brought up and how I was taught. And just even realizing that I had the power to do that was an aha moment in and of itself. That I had the power to change what I thought was what was success to me, and the right to pursue that. So it's it's been an interesting journey so far, for sure. I can't wait to find out what's in the next one.
I know. The suspense kills me. Like we could do this twice a week instead of just once a week, and I'd be down with that.
Oh, me too. I may actually, since we're taking our time with the material, I may actually do that if you are really cool with it. Just DM me and let me know what other day might work for you, and we'll think about spinning that up.
Yeah. I mean, like I want to be respectful of your time, but I love these types of conversation, and that I seek this type of knowledge. I like to read interesting books that I find at, randomly at half price books that just
Yeah.
jump out at me that nobody's ever heard of before. And so this to me is like I found a treasure or something. So I really like it. I enjoy it. And also the conversation with you, it helps, like you said, it helps me expand my thinking and reintegrate some things that I already knew that I forgot that I haven't been doing, or
Um,
haven't been practicing or embodying. Because really for me, I think the whole point is that embodiment aspect. You can't just, like they say, the saying goes, you can't just talk about it, you have to be about it. You
yeah.
can't just like intellectualize yourself into enlightenment. It doesn't work that way. You have to do the things, and they don't have to be hard things, but it has to be do the things that make you feel joyous and passion
Mhm.
about living.
Yeah. Yes. You get your fuel from source that way, and you don't all of a sudden you don't feel a need to numb out anymore, and because you're driven, you're just automatically happy all the time. You don't need any help to get there.
Yeah, and so these conversations really fuel me in that direction and help to shift me. So I appreciate you sharing this book and your time with me and others who may watch this in the future. I think it's a powerful thing that we're doing, and you're leading the way and helping already, expand
Well,
my consciousness. So thank you.
thank you very much. I really appreciate your interest and your contribution, and I can't wait for the next one. We'll figure out if that's Wednesday or next Wednesday or sooner.
Okay.
All right. Well, thanks everybody. Those of you who may be watching in the future, thank you for joining in, and we'll see you again for volume 3 next time. Take care.
Bye.
Bye bye.